You're good.
Hi everyone! Welcome to my kitchen. I am Lasheeda Perry, a Johnson & Wells alumni. Yay! Class of 2008. I know, so long ago. But I have been in the industry since I graduated, right after JWU. I went straight into the workforce. I worked with my mentor for a little bit, Sweet Jasmine's outside of Philadelphia, and then I went straight into hotels. And fast forward, 16 years later, I am now the owner of Queen of Flavor, where I offer consulting, virtual baking classes, and tons of other experiences. But I also have someone here helping me who happens to be a JWU grad as well. And the crazy part is she was my RA. So Nicole, can you introduce yourself too?
Oh my God, let's do this. I can't. Oh wait. Hey guys, it's Nicole. 06 grad. I was Lasheeda's RA at South Hall.
South Hall?
Woo, South Hall. I'm here being her assistant. Her and I hang out a lot, so we always talk about our good JWU days.
You didn't even tell them that you own your own business as well.
Okay. I'm the owner of Nicole Bakes Cakes, custom cakes, dessert tables, a whole 9 yards in LA.
Yes, I'm so happy to have her here. We've known each other for 16 years, celebrating 16 years of friendship this month. So let's get started, because I am here to show you how to make pâte à choux. You've all probably heard of pâte à choux before, but I'm going to show you how to make it into a donut. So I say let's get started, because we have about 25 minutes left. Alrighty. So in order to start, you're going to need to bring your milk, water, and butter. I have the sugar in here, I have salt, and I have nutmeg, because they don't call me the Queen of Flavor for nothing. The nutmeg is just going to give it a little oomph, and later on I'm going to add some orange zest and vanilla extract as well, because we want these to taste good. I grew up, don't judge me here because I was not born a pastry chef, but I grew up eating the French crullers from Dunkin' Donuts. I don't eat them anymore, but because I can make my own. But I remember I just love the sweetness, but it had no flavor. So I'm making sure these French crullers have flavor. And just when you're making any pâte à choux, you want to make sure that you bring the butter, milk, water, salt, sugar to a nice roaring boil. And I say roaring boil because you're going to use a lot of muscles here. So if it's just simmering, you're going to have to cook it out a little longer. So do yourself a favor and just bring it up to a really big boil so that you have less on work to do. Because I don't like working out, but I love making pâte à choux. So we're almost there. While that's coming to a boil, please get a pot going with oil. I have about 4 cups of oil in this pot, and bring it up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Please do not let it surpass that. I know some recipes, they fry them at 375, but I'm not. I like to keep it 350, maybe 338. Once it reaches that temperature, just turn your flame down to very low. So if you come closer, you can see that this liquid is boiling now. And I'm going to go ahead and add my flour. And I like to just gradually add it. I don't like to dump it all in at once because I feel as though I get more lumps when I do it that way. And y'all, when I first started making pâte à choux, it was a hot mess. I'll never forget classical French pastries. I had Chef Gibbs. Oh, that's not her name anymore, though. What's her name now?
I always know Gibbs.
Oh, sorry, Chef. But I'll never forget that she was so patient with me. She was like, I messed it up the first time, and she came back and just gave me a quick one-on-one. And ever since then, I've been able to nail it. But you want to make sure that you're cooking out all of that flour. All of the liquid is being evaporated. You don't want any lumps. And at this point, I'm going to turn my flame down. And what I'm going to do, I like to do is just press it in, like flatten it out, and then stir it some more. And I'm going to keep doing this for about 2 to 3 minutes until it's nice and tight and all of that water, milk has been evaporated. So this is what I mean you're going to get a workout. At this point, if you see any lumps, it's a good time to get them out as well. Once again, you want no lumps, and I see that I have some. I do like to use a wooden spoon when I'm doing this. A rubber spatula, it will do the trick, but I just feel more comfortable using a wooden spoon. And the French
workout
hoops.
in.
Come again?
Getting that workout in.
I am. Definitely my workout for the day. And then you just want to keep doing this, and pretty much this is the first step for our pâte choux. And once you know how to make pâte choux, you can make eclairs, you can make cream puffs, you can do churros, right?
Yeah,
churros.
churros.
You can do churros. What else can you do? You can do the swans. There's just so many things that you can do with pâte choux. All right, I'm gonna give it about another 30 seconds. Making sure to keep an eye on my oil as well. A candy thermometer is great for keeping the temperature of your oil. That way it sits right in the pot and you can see it. Woo! Now just imagine, when I used to work at the Four Seasons and with Bon Appetit Management Company, we would make hundreds of these, hundreds. So this is a very small recipe compared to that. But this is looking good, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn the flame off. And now I'm going to dump it into a stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can definitely use a handheld mixer. Just make sure your bowl is heat proof, that it can withstand some heat. So at this point, you have to cool off this before you add the eggs, because we do not want to make scrambled eggs. So we want this to cool off for a few moments. Look at that. You can see all of that coming out. But in the meantime, you should have 3 whole eggs, 1 egg white. I put vanilla extract, but I actually don't have extract. I have vanilla bean paste, which is fine, more flavor actually. But if you do have the vanilla bean paste, I would suggest doing half of the amount of the extract because it's a little more intense. And then I told you I like to add flavor. Chef Soliday taught me this many, many years ago, that he said lemon, but I use orange zest, I use lime, but citrus is like salt for pastry. So that means if you add it to your Danish dough, your cinnamon bun dough, it just gives it a little more oomph. So I'm using that knowledge for these pâte choux as well. I'm going to go ahead and lightly beat these egg whites, because when it comes to pâte choux, what's actually leavening the cream puffs or eclairs or French crullers is all of the liquid that's in the ingredients. So when it's exposed to steam and air, it puffs up. So I want to make sure that I'm not adding too much liquid. So I'm just going to tighten up these egg whites just a little bit. I'm not making a meringue by any means, but I'm just going to, make it a little frothy, if you will. I know some recipes, they tell you to gauge the amount of eggs. I don't like doing that. I want a set recipe. So I realized if I whip the whites a little bit, then I can dump it all. So that's where I stand with this recipe. Keeping an eye on this as well. It's still feeling a little hot. And then once I whip these whites a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and zest in a little bit of orange. Roughly, maybe a third of it. Oh yeah.
Somebody asked, what's the hardest dessert or pastry you've ever made?
The hardest dessert or pastry I ever made? say being on Best Baker in America Food Network, where you were just running. I had to make a marjolaine. And I'm like, I never heard of a marjolaine a day in my life.
Me neither.
But, you know, I knew how to make the components, but just getting all of that together in such a short amount of time, that was definitely one of the hardest ones I've made. Obviously now I can do it when I have a little more time, but when you're crunched for time and someone throws that at you, you just start running and your head is spinning. All right, I got some of that orange zest in here now, and it smells good. Okay, also on this sheet pan here, I have some parchment paper that's been cut out into squares. I did 4x4, and then I oiled them with a little bit of baking spray. And then here I have a sheet pan with parchment paper and a glazing rack. I'm going to use this to catch the crullers. So my oil is a little high right now, so I'm going to turn it off. And see, this is why I love pastry, because we're multitasking. We're making one dessert, but we got the oil going, we got our choux going. I'm about to make the glaze. Like, I love it. All right, so this is pretty much cool now. And I'm going to gradually add the eggs one at a time. And add in the second one once most of the first one has been incorporated. Please do not be alarmed if it looks separated. That's absolutely fine. It's all going to come together at the end. Okay. Once that's incorporated a little bit, I'm going to stop the mixer. This is very, very key to anything you make, not just pâte à choux, but any type of dough or batter. You want to stop the mixer and just scrape everything. You want to make sure you scrape it off the paddle. You get what's in that little dip at the bottom, because you want to make sure everything is fully incorporated. And once again, it's going to look broken. It's going to look separated. Don't you worry. It's going to come together. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add that egg white with the orange zest. And we can't forget that vanilla bean paste for me here.
That's my favorite.
Right? Nicole approves. My RA approves.
I approve.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the mixer one more time and scrape it. And then I'm going to crank up that speed and let it mix for about 2 minutes on medium speed. Something that I stick to as well. And while that's mixing, I'm going to go ahead and make the glaze. Now when it comes to French crullers, I've seen, sorry if I'm yelling, but I've seen some people dust them with powdered sugar. When I ate them growing up, it was a clear glaze, the whole cruller was glazed. But you know, I gotta have a little fun with it. So I actually made a couple different glazes. Those of you who know me best know that I love ube. So I did make an ube glaze using the ube extract, because that's a perfect natural food coloring. I'm going to do matcha as well, because once again, that's a natural food coloring. You're more than welcome to use food coloring, but I would say try to keep it pastel. You don't want to go like a deep blue for this type of donut, because you'll be able to taste that at the end. So I have some powdered sugar here, I have some honey and some milk, and I'm just going to go ahead and add all of that in. Let me grab a spatula. I like the honey in place of the vanilla extract. You could omit honey and add vanilla, but I thought honey would be a nice little touch. You can even do maple syrup if you wanted to. Get every drop, because that's flavor. And then I'm gonna add the milk, and I'm just going to whisk it all together. Now with this glaze, you can make it as thin or thick as you like. Okay, my pâte choux is looking pretty good. That is ready. So ready. And then you just want to whisk it all together until it's nice and smooth. And once again, you can thin it down if you think that it's too thick. This is a little thick for me, so I am going to thin it down, but I'll do that while the crullers are frying. And in order to make the matcha, you would just add some culinary matcha powder to the glaze with the powdered sugar and turn it nice and green. So look at this pâte choux, y'all.
Beautiful.
Oh, she rose. I'm so happy to have her here. Y'all have no idea. I moved here, what, 15 months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
15 minutes. Yeah.
And when I told her, she's like, oh my God, I'm so excited. It's so good. It's so cool. We have so much in common. It's crazy, Nicole.
We do.
Obviously, we went to the same school.
Yep.
Our birthdays are what, 2 weeks apart? Two and a half?
2.5 weeks apart. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We love to eat. We love to have good cocktails, right?
Of course.
I owe her a Moscow Mule. That's why I said that.
I'm excited.
Right after we're done this, I'm going to make her a Moscow Mule for her.
Crullers and like a Moscow Mule. It's perfect. Perfect combo.
So pâte choux is very pasty and sticky and thick. And when you're making hundreds and hundreds of these, it can be annoying to keep refilling your pastry bag. So I'm just going to dump some into plastic wrap to make it, just make little pouches, if you will. Just make it easier to handle. And look, you can see those specks of vanilla bean. Yes. That makes me happy.
Yes. This is a nice trick. Someone asked, what was your favorite class at JWU?
Oh, don't do that.
I know.
Don't put me on the spot like that. Okay. Ooh. Plated desserts for sure. That hands down. I like them all. I do. Even academics.
That's a
Food
tough
science.
question.
I had Professor Tripp. Oh my God, I love food science. That's a tough question. I'm not going to answer that. I'm sorry. I like them all.
She pleads the fifth.
I plead the fifth, yes. I had such a great time at JWU, not because I'm on their IG, but that's being genuine. Actually, 2 years ago, they invited me back to be the 182nd Distinguishing Visiting Chef. Whew, that's a mouthful.
Mouthful.
I catch my breath there. And that, you have no idea how much that meant to me. It was literally 10 years from when I had graduated. I got to see a lot of my old instructors new, and I didn't tell anyone this, but afterwards I went back to my hotel room and I cried. Good, happy tears, because it was just so emotional, and just being part of that and being acknowledged, it was amazing. Amazing. Okay, so pastry bag with the large star tip. And now let's start piping. I'm going to cut off one corner. Make sure to throw this away. You don't want that to end up in anything. And then the side that's open, just dump it into there. Now, there's several ways to pipe these. I'm going to show you how I do it. And I find it easier if I overlap the crullers. That way it creates a taller cruller, if you will. But you can do one ring. It's going to be flatter though. So here we go. A nice round circle, applying even pressure.
at those piping skills.
Wonder where I get that from. Okay, maybe one more. Can you make this pattern shoe in advance? Yes, you can, but I would highly... Uh-oh, I don't think that one was grease. I would highly suggest that you pipe these ahead of time and let them freeze. I would not make the padded shoe, put the padded shoe in the refrigerator and try to pipe it the next day. It's so much easier to pipe when you make it fresh. You have more control. The shoe is softer. I'm just taking a little bit of that residual milk I had left over. And if I see any points that are sticking up, I'm just gonna press them in a little bit. Almost the same concept when you're making cream puffs. You do that as well. So let's go over here to the fryer. And let's get a couple of these going. So you leave the parchment paper on and then you just turn the fryer back on. But I'm going to keep that temperature nice and low. And then you just take that parchment and set it aside. You see, they are super easy to make. I'm gonna go ahead and let them fry for about 2 minutes on each side, about 5 minutes total.
Someone loves your pot.
Thank you. That was a gift from a friend. I think our birthdays are like a week apart too. And a few years ago, I was at her house and I was like, I love that pot. And then the following year, she got it for me for my birthday. So she'll be happy to know that I'm putting it to work.
What advice would you give JWU students right now?
What advice I would give you right now, especially the climate that we're in, I would first start by saying, go through the emotions, because right now everything is very uncertain. Don't beat yourself up for feeling that way. Like, I would be lying if I said every day I'm happy and like, yeah, let's go pandemic. No, I'm not. So go through those emotions. It's okay to be sad, but afterwards, you know, get up and just be creative. This is an opportunity to let all of those creative juices flow, because there's no one holding you back. And it's like almost a reset button for your career or for your schooling. Just really pivot and think about how you really want your career to go once this pandemic is over. And have fun, live a little, pick up a new hobby. Y'all, I started roller skating again, and I'm no good at it, but I am doing it. So have fun for sure. All right, so we do want them to gain some color on one side before we flip them. You don't want to under fry these, if you will. It's very important that you fry these all the way through, because just like the same concept when you have cream puffs in the oven, if you open that oven door or you pull them out, what's going to happen? They will collapse. It's no different with this. It's the same dough. So I don't want to pull these out of the fryer until they are like a deep golden color. If not, at least with my recipe, they will collapse on you and you'll have some sad looking crullers.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. They're looking pretty good. With a pot this size, I would not put more than 4 in here at a time. And keep an eye on your thermometer, because as you put some in, you're actually dropping the temperature of the oil. So when you go to do your next batch, let that oil come back up to temperature before you add the next ones. And I mentioned before that you could make these in advance. You could make them frozen. I have placed them in the oil when they were frozen, but your temperature is dropping drastically. So they take longer to cook or to fry when you fry them frozen. So I would suggest let them thaw out on the parchment paper and then proceed as we did before. I wouldn't suggest throwing them into the pot frozen. I used to do it at work, but I had a bigger fryer, so I had, you know, the grease was super, super hot.
What temp is your oil at now?
It's bordering 320 right now. I am cranking up my heat a little bit, my flame, if you will, to bring it back up. Oh God, they're looking good, y'all. All right, go ahead and flip them there.
Ooh, yeah.
Look at that height.
You guys should be jealous of me right now.
She's getting donuts and Moscow mules.
Yeah, look at that. That's my favorite, is when you flip over a donut and you see all the bubbles. Love it.
I'm happy that you're happy.
Someone said I'd be taking orders for mailing crullers.
Well, I do virtual baking classes. I am going to add a little milk to this. If you don't want to use milk, you can use coconut milk. You can add alcohol to this glaze. This is the part where you get creative. There's no right or wrong way to glaze these. Just have fun. Like French crullers, they don't normally have sprinkles on there, but I had some lying around and I'm like, why not? My sister has triplets, so I know they would appreciate the sprinkles. I even have some coconut here. You can do that as well. There's just so many ways you can decorate these bad boys. And like I said, I have the ube here. You guys know I love ube. Oh, they puffed up nicely. They are super tall. They're actually taller than the ones I made the other day.
Those are beautiful.
So good. And as you can see, it's super easy to make. There's really no hassle to it. One other pro tip that I have for you, if you don't want to do the glaze, you can make these churro style donuts. That's right. Let them cool a little bit and then you just toss them with cinnamon sugar. Get your favorite, you know, chocolate sauce or caramel and go at it. There's so many ways you can do this. So many. Yes. Any more questions? Nicole, do you have any questions for me?
No, I'm just excited. Somebody asked, have you met any celebrity bakers?
Celebrity bakers? Yeah. Being on Food Network, I definitely have. Of course, their names are passing. I can't think of their names right now. But definitely being on Food Network, Best Baker in America, I met a few. I was on Sweet Genius as well, so I met Ron Ben Ezreli. He was super, super nice. So once they're done, I am going to let those two go a little longer, but I just want to show you how to glaze one real quick. But you pull it out, let it, you know, drip all the oil onto either a glazing rack or paper towel. I do highly suggest, though, that you let these cool before you glaze them. But just for time purposes, I'm going to go ahead and do one for you. Oh, yes, y'all. They're looking so good. Sorry. Okay. Let me grab a pair of gloves because those are really hot. Really, really hot. it's hot. See, very, very hot. And you just literally take the tops and just dip it in there. But once again, you do want to do this though when they're super, super cool, not piping hot. But that's ube for you. You can put, you know, because Halloween's around the corner, y'all. You can put your favorite sprinkles on there. You can just do plain cinnamon sugar if you want. But once again, let these cool though before you glaze them. You can glaze the whole donut. Ooh, or throw it over there. You can glaze the whole donut. But yeah, that's essentially how you make French crullers. So I just want to thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and just remember to smile.